The next morning, I woke earlier than usual. Sleep had been impossible, not after what I had seen and heard behind Karen's fence. The glow, the hum, the way she stepped into the yard as though she were guarding something. It looped through my mind like a warning I couldn't shake. The air outside was cool, washed clean by the night's rain, and the light stretched golden across the neighborhood. Everything looked ordinary, almost idyllic. Birds hopped across driveways. Sprinklers ticked back and forth in perfect arcs. And yet to me, nothing looked the same anymore. Karen wasn't just a nosy neighbor. She wasn't just a meddler with too much time and too much power through the HOA. She was hiding something. Something buried. Something mechanical. Something she desperately didn't want anyone to find. I sat at my kitchen table, coffee mug in hand, staring at the condensation on the window as Cooper's leash jingled against the wall. Normally, the sound meant peace, routine, stability. But now it felt like a choice. Take him out as usual, or change my route and use the walk as cover to get closer to the truth. By the time I stepped outside with Cooper, I already knew my answer. This wasn't about outsmarting HOA fines anymore. It wasn't even about protecting my dog, though that was what had started all of this. This was about Karen's secret. And if she had turned the HOA against me over a lie, then I wasn't going to sit quietly while she buried the truth under her fence. As we walked, I slowed when we reached her street. Her house looked like all the others. Same siding, same trimmed lawn. But it stood out in subtle ways. The grass near the base of her backyard fence was uneven, worn down in patches that exposed bare soil. Something had disturbed it, repeatedly. The fence itself loomed taller than any other in the neighborhood. Built not for decoration, but for exclusion. It blocked out more than just a view. It blocked out curiosity. It said, "Stay away." I didn't linger, not with Cooper at my side. Karen responded to suspicion like a shark to blood. Instead, I kept walking, filing away the details in my mind. But later that day, I decided to test a theory. If Karen's crusade was really about my dog, then maybe without him, she'd leave me alone. But if her problem was really me, if she was watching me for other reasons, then she wouldn't. That afternoon, I left Cooper at home and walked down her street alone. My pace was casual, my eyes fixed on the horizon ahead. But in the corner of my vision, I caught it. The faint flicker of a curtain shifting. A shadow moved behind the fabric, just enough to confirm what I already suspected. She was watching. I passed by, kept walking, circled the block. When I came back from the other side, I noticed something else. Her car, parked neatly in the driveway. The driver's side window was cracked, and a phone sat in a holder on the dash, camera aimed squarely at the street. No one sat inside, but the setup was deliberate. Karen wasn't just watching casually. She was monitoring, recording, documenting. And suddenly, all of her complaints made sense. She didn't need to lie out of thin air. She was building a narrative, splicing together fragments of footage, crafting a story where I was the villain and Cooper the dangerous beast. The HOA wasn't siding with her blindly. She was feeding them evidence. But even that wasn't the whole story. Because if she had gone to these lengths, fences, cameras, fake complaints, then it meant there was something else. Something she needed to hide so badly she was willing to weaponize the HOA as a shield. That night, the thought wouldn't leave me alone. My house didn't feel like home anymore. Every creak of the floorboards, every car rolling down the street outside, Every shadow passing my windows, everything felt like it might be tied back to her. On the third day, I decided to involve someone else. Mark, a neighbor who lived just 3 houses from Karen, was always outside working in his front yard. If anyone had noticed strange patterns, it would be him. I asked him, casually, about Karen. He hesitated, just long enough to confirm what I already knew. There was more to the story. Finally, he admitted she had a lot of deliveries and some odd visitors at night. His words stuck with me long after our conversation ended. Deliveries, visitors, late at night. And now, a glowing backyard, buried machinery, and a woman willing to create a public enemy out of me just to keep attention away from her fence. It wasn't random. It was a smokescreen. She wanted the neighborhood focused on the dangerous dog, not on whatever was humming beneath her yard. That evening, I sat on my porch again, the sun sinking low and shadows stretching long down the street. From where I sat, I could just make out the outline of Karen's backyard fence. A faint light flickered behind it. Blue, bright, stronger than before. It pulsed once, twice. Then faded, leaving only darkness. Beside me, Cooper stirred, ears twitching at a sound I couldn't hear. The air felt charged for a moment, like static before a lightning strike, and then stillness. But the unease didn't fade. If anything, it grew sharper, digging into me like a splinter. I leaned back in my chair, my mind made up. This wasn't going to be solved from a distance. If I wanted answers, I had to get closer. Closer than was safe. Closer than the HOA would ever allow. Because if Karen thought she could distract me with threats, with fines, with letters stamped in official ink, she was wrong. The next move would be quiet, careful, invisible. And I knew exactly when to make it.